Welcome to Taiwan Tech Dispatch. This is a podcast where we explore Taiwan's technology ecosystem, its startups, its economic shifts, and how all of that connects to global innovation and geopolitics. I'm your host, White Shu. Today, we are going to talk about something that sounds simple on the surface, but actually reveals a deeper structural story about Taiwan's digital economy. Taiwan is often described as a highly digital society. People use smartphones everywhere. Convenience stores are highly connected. E commerce is mature. Public transportation is digitized. So you might expect Taiwan to also be one of the leading markets in e payments. But the reality is more complicated. Taiwan is already highly cashless, but it is not e payment first. Instead, Taiwan is card first. And this difference helps explain why Taiwan has very high e payment account penetration, but relatively low e payment transaction value. Chapter 1: The Paradox of High Adoption but Low Transaction Value. According to data released by Taiwan's Financial Supervisory Commission, Taiwan's payment ecosystem shows an interesting contrast. Credit cards remain the dominant force in consumer transactions. There are nearly 60 million circulating credit cards in Taiwan. In a society with a population of about 23 million people. That means on average, each person holds multiple credit cards. Monthly credit card transaction value reached nearly 394 billion new Taiwan dollars. That accounts for more than half of total consumer transaction value. By contrast, e-payment accounts are also widespread. There are more than 33 million e-payment accounts in Taiwan. That means account penetration is already extremely high. But the total monthly transaction value of e-payments is only around 20 billion new Taiwan dollars. That represents only about 5% of total transaction value. So this creates a paradox. If almost everyone has an e-payment account, why is the total transaction value still relatively small? Some observers interpret this as a sign that Taiwanese consumers are not used to cashless payments. But that interpretation is misleading. Taiwan is already highly cashless. The difference is that Taiwan became cashless through credit cards, not through stored value e payments. Chapter 2: Taiwan's cashless system was built on cards. Credit cards have been deeply embedded in Taiwan's consumer economy for decades. They are accepted across almost every spending scenario. Department stores, restaurants, online shopping, travel bookings, subscription services, utility payments. Credit cards are not just widely accepted, they also offer strong incentives. Consumers are used to cashback rewards, air miles, reward points, installment plans, fraud protection. These incentives reinforce user habits. Even when mobile payments became popular, many of these mobile payment tools are still linked to credit cards. For example, when consumers use Apple Pay or other mobile wallets, the underlying transaction is often still processed through a credit card network. So even though the interface looks modern and digital, the underlying infrastructure remains card based. In other words, Taiwan did not move from cash directly to mobile wallets. Taiwan moved from cash to cards and then digitized the card experience. Chapter 3: E payments as digital petty cash. E payments in Taiwan tend to focus on smaller, high frequency transactions. Convenience stores, drink shops, transit related payments, peer to peer transfers. These are useful scenarios. They improve convenience and reduce the need to carry physical cash. But the average transaction size tends to be relatively small. So even when usage frequency is high, total transaction value grows more slowly. In many ways, e-payments in Taiwan function like digital petty cash. They are widely used, but they do not yet serve as the primary hub for larger financial transactions. Chapter 4: Structural Factors Limiting e-payment Growth. There are several structural reasons why e-payment transaction value remains limited in Taiwan. First, Taiwan already has a strong credit card foundation. That makes it harder for e-payments to replace existing habits. Second, many mobile payment tools are still linked to cards. So, part of what looks like e-payment activity is statistically counted as credit card spending. Third, use cases are segmented by transaction size. Larger purchases tend to go through credit cards. Smaller purchases often go through e-payments. Fourth, incentives still favor credit cards. Consumers receive better rewards and more financial flexibility from card based payments. And fifth, regulatory constraints can limit stored value balances and certain use cases for e payments. Together, these factors create a stable equilibrium in which e payments grow in user numbers, but not as quickly in total transaction value. Chapter 5: International Comparison. Taiwan's situation looks different when compared with neighboring economies. China largely skipped the credit card era. Mobile wallets became the dominant interface for everyday transactions. South Korea has very high credit card penetration, but e payments have grown alongside cards through strong integration. Singapore combines strong card usage with government supported digital payment infrastructure. Japan still maintains a relatively strong cash culture, but digital payment adoption continues to increase. Taiwan sits somewhere in between. It is already highly digital, but its digital payment ecosystem is still anchored by credit cards. Chapter 6: The Deeper Insight. So, the key insight is this: Taiwan is not behind in cashless adoption. Taiwan simply became cashless through a different technological pace. Instead of leapfrogging directly into mobile wallets, Taiwan built a mature card ecosystem first, and then layered mobile interfaces on top of it. Once a financial habit becomes embedded in everyday life, changing it requires strong incentives or structural shifts. Without those changes, e-payments may continue to grow in accounts but remain a secondary layer in the broader payment infrastructure. This pattern is consistent with many other parts of Taiwan's technology landscape. New technologies often do not completely replace old infrastructure. Instead, they are layered on top of existing systems. And the legacy system often continues to play a central role. Closing. So, the next time someone says Taiwan is behind in e payments, the more accurate perspective might be this: Taiwan is already highly cashless, but it is cashless through cards. And that structural difference explains why Taiwan's e-payment transaction value looks relatively small, even though digital payments are already deeply embedded in everyday life. If you enjoyed this episode, you can find more analysis on Taiwan's technology ecosystem at my blog. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn by searching for White Shoe. And don't forget to subscribe to Taiwan Tech Dispatch on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Your support helps more people discover Taiwan's technology story and its role in global innovation. Until next time, this is White Shoe. Thank you for listening.